comes, he doesn't just give a speech that's discouraging, right? He always gives a motivating, encouraging speech. Go out there and get them. Go get them. What's the difference between churches that are growing and ones that are dying? What's the difference? What do we see as the difference? It's worship service, isn't it? When we come, should it be an inspiring worship service? And not one that's like a funeral? We should come expecting to be inspired, to have an encounter with Christ. We should come expecting to praise and worship Him. It's all about Him. Inspired worship services, they inspire us to do something, don't they? We don't know what, but it inspires us to do something. It should. It should inspire us to do something, to get out there and do something. Not just sit back and not do anything. It should inspire us to do something. That's what inspired worship services should do. Should be something that motivates us. Should be something that encourages us, so that when we walk out of here, people will be able to look at us and tell, man, I can tell y'all been to church. But most people, not just this church, but churches in general, when most people, when they walk out of church, they look like they just left the funeral. Am I right?
Amen. Amen.
Why do we come to church today? Why do we come to church today? Is it just a habit? Somebody make us come? Pressure us to come? Promise somebody that you would come? Or did we really come to praise and worship God? Did we really come to make it about Him? Did we come to fellowship? Fellowship with each other and support each other, because like we were talking about in Sunday school, there's so many things that are going on in the life of our church because the devil, like I said, he's got his game plan. And he's attacking because God's at work. And there's always going to be opposition to God's work. Always. It always has been and it always will be. And so the devil's attacking because good things are happening. And when good things are happening, the devil don't like it, he's going to attack. He's attacking the life of this church. He's got his game plan. What's going to be ours? Are we going to come in and leave like we've been defeated, like we've been discouraged? Or are we going to leave here inspired, encouraged, and motivated? Maybe you came this morning to learn something. Good luck. I hope you learned something. No, I'm kidding. Maybe you came this morning because we're hurting, suffering. We need that support of each other, right? We need that support. We need that encouragement. Not just on Sundays. We need it every single day. We need it. We need that encouragement. We need that support of each other. There was a family that was going to leave a church one time, and the father was complaining. He said, man, service was awful. Pews were too hard. Music was loud. sermon was definitely too long. The son sitting in the back seat said, "Well, Dad, that was a pretty good show for $1." We should desire and have a desire to come and have an experience and an encounter with God, and to be inspired, to be encouraged when we go out of these doors, to show the world what it means to be a Christian. What it means. What does it mean? Let's look at our first point. What should inspiring worship do? Point number one, inspiring worship should honor God. It should honor God, right? It should be all about Him. It's not about me, my flowery speech. It's not about that. It's about Him. We should make it all about Him. When Isaiah comes into the presence of the Lord, what's he do? It's obvious that he is in awe. It's obvious that he is honoring the Lord. It's obvious when he comes into His presence. He saw the Lord high and lifted up, right? And in verse 3, we see the angelic beings are saying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of the heaven's armies. The whole earth is filled with His glory." It's clear that the reason we come to church should be to worship God. It should be to worship Him, to honor Him. It should be all about Him, right? We should come wanting to have an experience of having that encounter with God. We should come expecting that. We should come to be inspired for the rest of the week. We should come get our refreshment and our refillment for the rest of the week. Because we desperately need it, right? We so desperately need it. Man, I desperately need it. When people come to church, they should come expecting to experience God, and they should do that. They should come to honor God. We were created and designed for worshiping Him. We were created for that. We were designed for that. And we should come doing that. And we should make it all about Him. It should be honoring to Him. There's a certain university in the state next to us. I won't call their names out, but their first initial is Alabama. And whenever they win a national championship, whenever they do, and they seem to do that a lot lately, whenever they do, they invite all their fans to their stadium to come, honor the team. It's not a game. All it is that, the players are there, the coaches are there, the cheerleaders are all there, the banners are there, they're cheering, and they invite all their fans. And thousands upon thousands of people go for the simple reason of honoring the football team. They fill the stadium up. There's not a game. There's nothing special going on. The players and coaches give speeches, but they're not eloquent, right? But they fill the stadium up. Thousands upon thousands of people go. And they know the reason that they're there. They're there to honor the team because they won. Why can't we fill our churches today?
Amen.
Why can't thousands upon thousands of people come to church to honor God like people do in not just university the state over? Why can't thousands upon thousands of people come in churches today and honor God like they do football teams, baseball teams, basketball teams, soccer? People will go sit out in the rain, in the cold, for hours. You can't come to church. church. And when people leave these celebrations, people say, well, at least the team knows, hey, we care about them. They know that we're, glad that they won. We're excited, and they know that. They can see how much we're cheering, how much we're here for them. Does God know that about us today? Does God know how much we honor and care that we're here? Do we want that? Do we want to make sure that God knows that we care about Him, that we love Him, and that we are so glad that He's always there for us? Because He always is. He's always there for us. Everything that we go through, people leave those events happy, excited, motivated, and they leave inspired. They leave inspired because they've come to honor that team. We should be doing the same thing for God. We should be doing the same thing. We should be excited. We should become excited about worshiping and praising and inspired. That is how we should be. Point number 2. Inspiring worship should lead to feelings of awe and wonder about God. Look at Isaiah. He tells us when he experienced God, there was such a great sense of awe. Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of heaven's armies. The whole earth is filled with His glory. Their voices shook the temple to its foundations, and the entire building was filled with smoke. I have seen the King, the Lord of heaven's armies. I have seen the King. I have been in His presence. I've had an encounter with Him. I've had an experience with Him. And I'm filled with awe and wonder. And I'm filled with excitement. And I'm inspired. There was a great sense of awe. There was a great sense of wonder on the behalf of Isaiah. We should be the same way. We should be the same way that he was. Because what does the Bible tell us? The Bible tells us that God showed up in a special way for Isaiah. God showed up in a special way for Isaiah, didn't He? He shows up in a special way for us too. Where 2 or 3 are gathered, He's there. His presence is there. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in His name, He's there. So we are here. He's definitely here. Did we come to have an encounter with Him and have an experience with Him? Did we come to that today and for that today? There's something very special to me when we do come together. There's something very special for me and very refreshing when we do come together. I get refreshed. I get refilled, rejuvenated. I get motivated. I get a little excited. I don't know if you can tell that. I get a little excited about it. I get inspired when we come together and worship God. Just like Isaiah, when we come into His presence, do we recognize that we're standing on holy ground? That we're standing on holy ground. Do we recognize that? Do we realize that? Do we have that awe and wonder about God when we come into His house? We should be inspired. We should be motivated. We should feel that sense of awe and wonder. Inspiring worship should honor God. It should lead us to feelings of awe and wonder. And now look at point number 3. Inspiring worship will bring an awareness of sin. When we come into His presence, when we truly come wholeheartedly into His presence, we'll feel that unworthiness. How unworthy we are. Isaiah did. The closer that we get to God, the closer that we are to Him, the more unworthy we'll feel. The more unworthy to be in His presence, to stand. Why is that? Because the closer we get to God, when we come into His house, when we come into His presence, we recognize our sin. We recognize our failures. How unworthy we are, how unclean we are. Isaiah did the same thing. Isaiah reveals his unworthiness in verse 5. He says, "Then I said, it's all over. I'm doomed. It's all over. I'm doomed, for I am a sinful man. I have filthy lips, and I live among a people with filthy lips." Don't we live among a people that have filthy lips? In our community today? The world around us? Here's Isaiah, a great prophet of God, realizing how unworthy he is, how unclean he is, how he's messed up and made mistakes. Unworthy. He says, it's all over. I'm doomed. I'm doomed, God. I'm not doing right. What can I do in your presence? Heard about a story one time over in Mozambique, Africa. There was a refugee camp there, and they were missionaries there. They were showing a movie, and they were showing a movie about the crucifixion of Christ. And the people there, the refugees, didn't know anything about the Bible, didn't know anything about Jesus, didn't know anything about it. But they watched this movie. And when Jesus starts getting beat, he's getting whipped, he's getting spit on, he gets crucified. There was such an outcry from these refugees watching this movie. They were so saddened. They were horrified. And they started making this huge commotion. And they started stirring up all the dust that they had to stop the movie. Because they were so saddened by the fact that Christ had came for them, had been crucified. And like I said, they didn't know the Bible. They didn't know the story. They didn't know the ending. And when they asked me, he said, why are y'all acting this way? Why are y'all acting out so much? He said, it was being in the presence of Christ, of this man that came for us, to die for us. And being in his presence brought us to sadness, to cry out for his death, this injustice that was being done. Because like I said, they didn't know the end of the story. So when we get a sense, when we get that little touch, God's presence on that hour of Sunday morning that we get, when we get that little touch, that little sense of God's presence, we should have that sense of awe and wonder, the fact that we're unworthy. I messed up, I made a mistake. I can't stand in his presence. It should cause us to fall flat on our faces it should cause us to fall flat on our face when we come to the presence of God. In the book of Revelations, John wrote the book of Revelations, right? He's getting this revelation from Christ, who he's met before, right? He's met him before. And here he is on the island of Patmos getting this vision, this revelation from Christ. When he comes into his presence, what does he do? He falls flat on his face. He falls flat on his face because he could not stand his presence. That's the same way we should be. We should come expecting to have an experience with Christ. We should become honoring Him. We should come with awe and wonder about God. And we should come confessing our sin, confessing our mistakes, confessing our unworthiness like Isaiah did. Confessing that, man, we're not worthy. Not worthy. The Bible tells us that when his iniquity was taken away, we cut out his act, his iniquity was taken away, his sin was purged. He was cleansed of his unrighteousness. Worship, inspiring worship, should motivate us and inspire us to worship God, to honor God. It's okay. She missed mom and dad. That's okay, but the Bible says he came confessing his sin. And it motivated him and inspired him. The fact was that God didn't leave him there. God doesn't leave us there either. When we come with our unworthiness, our uncleanness, He doesn't leave us there. He forgives us of our sins, just like He did for Isaiah. He cleanses us of our unrighteousness. When they got everybody settled down at the movie, they got everybody settled down, they got everybody sitting back down. The dust kind of settled. And then they showed the rest of the movie. And when the people saw the part where crucifixion was at the end of the story, they saw where Christ gets resurrected. Man, they got excited. They got excited. They got inspired. And they started jumping around. And they started celebrating. They started rejoicing. And when they walked out of there, before they walked out of there, 500 people came to know Christ that night. And that next Sunday, 500 new members were at the church there. To announce that they wanted to become members of that church. 500 people. They started rejoicing because of the fact that Christ was resurrected. The crucifixion was not the end of the story. Sin is not the end of our story either. He does not leave us there. Jesus didn't stay in the grave. That's not the end of our story. It wasn't the end of His. Like I said, these people started rejoicing. When they walked out, they were rejoicing and jumping up and down. And when people saw them, they knew there was something different about them than then when they walked in. There was something different about them. We should be the same way when we walk out of here. People should be able to look at us and tell that, hey, they've been in church. They've had an encounter with Christ this morning. They've had an encounter with Christ. And you can tell by the look on their face. That's the way we should be. When we walk out of here, people should be able to tell we've been with Christ. We've been in His presence. We've been here to honor God. We should be walking out of here in awe and wonder on our face. Walking out of here, leaving our sin behind. Another thing that inspiring worship should do, two things, real quick. It should inspire us to serve God. At the beginning, when I said, we get inspired, we should want to do something, right? She's fine. It should inspire us to do something. It should inspire us to serve God. It should inspire us to do what He's called us to do. It should. Does it today? Does it inspire you to serve God today? That's my hope and my prayer. It inspires us to serve God, to do something. In Isaiah verse 8 it says, "Then I heard the Lord asking, whom should I send as a messenger to these people? Who will go for us?" And I said, "Here I am, Lord.
Amen.
Send me." But we do the same thing today. When we come to have that encounter with Christ, we're going to say the same thing, Lord, here I am. I've gotten inspired. I've gotten motivated. I got encouraged. Here I am. I'm ready to do something for you. It should also be our testimony to the community around us. Like I said, when we walk out of here and people see us all encouraged and all motivated, and they look at us and say, well, been with Christ. They've been at church. Or do they look at us and say, they look like they've been at a funeral this morning? It should be our testimony when we walk out of here. The community around us. If we want the community around us to be a part, to want to be a part, we've got to show that we're inspired, we're encouraged, we're motivated. We've got to show that. But when we walk out of here, just like the rest of the world, moping around, why would they want to be a part of that? We're supposed to be different, right? Set apart. Got to be encouraged. Got to be inspired. That's got to be our testimony to the community around us. When those people walked out of that movie theater, they were jumping up and down, they were rejoicing. And they went and joined that church. Genuine, heartfelt worship was what they felt. And that's what they were doing. Genuine, heartfelt worship will be contagious. It'll be contagious to the rest of the community. I can promise you that. But it's got to be genuine. It's got to be heartfelt. When we come into His presence, we want to have an encounter and experience with Him today. The altar is open this morning. Will you stand with me as we get ready to pray?